thanks for being patient. Mark Vidal just stopped by, you can imagine, in the studio. And what did Baylor's men's basketball run mean to you?
Oh, man, I was all in. What it meant to me is, obviously the national championship is one thing, but how they did it, the way they, in my opinion, they played together, they fought for each other. There was no selfishness at all. It's almost like they'd rather have an assist than a 2-point basket or a 3-point basket. So just the vibe I got from that team, not knowing any of them personally, not being around them, ever, but just as a fan, and obviously as a Baylor fan, more intrigued. But, I just was super impressed with the team vibe I got from that group.
Jason, when I heard we were going to have you on today, and we're going to talk about several issues, but the first thing I thought of was you were a pitcher who could hit, and you hit really well when you were in college. But does it even blow your mind what Ohtani is doing in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I mean, that's like a once in a generation, one in a million type guy. He's obviously a freak athlete, but to be able to throw it 100, and these days you got to be able to hit 100-mile-an-hour fastball. The way these guys are throwing, he's fun to watch, and he seems like from the outside seems like a good dude, and just a great addition to the game of baseball.
Jason, what do you think of the current style of play? It seems a bit feast or famine. Guys are either going deep or they're striking out. I mean, there's not really an in-between right now in baseball. Is that something you've taken notice of, and just where do you kind of see the game right now?
Oh, goodness. That question could get me in trouble. Yeah, I mean, I was never – and any team I ever played for, including Baylor, I was never the hardest thrower on any team, so I had to pitch. I had to try to miss as many barrels as possible, change speeds, work hitters, and it just, from an outsider looking in, as far as a pitcher goes, it seems like that's a lost art. It's like, how hard can you throw? How hard can you throw until you need surgery? And we don't care if you can pitch. We don't care if you can change speeds. And I hate that. I think from a hitter's side, in my opinion, I mean, me personally, I used to be embarrassed when I struck out. I hated it. And it just doesn't seem like it's embarrassing anymore. It seems like nobody cares. Oh, I'll go 1 for 4 with a bomb and 3 punch outs, and that's a good day. Well, I mean, back in the day and how I grew up, how I was raised, how I played the game, that was not okay. I mean, it's great you hit a bomb, but a 250 average was never good enough for me. But that's crap. That's above the big league average at this point. And I hate to sound like the old fuddy duddy, and I don't want to be that guy, because the athletes and the ball players now that I'm watching on TV, I mean, they're freaks. They're way more advanced than I think we were physically back in the day, and so they are fun to watch from that that aspect. But there's some aspects of the game that have kind of disappeared.
How about the young players? There's some young stars in baseball now, and when they do go deep, they absolutely let you know it and celebrate it. How would Jason Jennings handle that?
A fastball to the ribs next time they were up. That's a touchy one as well. I mean, I'm all for advancing the game, and I'm coaching youth kids, and you see it even at our level. There's a little bit more showmanship, but it's that way across the board. I think NBA, NFL, MLB, even golf, you see some more some flashy personalities out there now. So I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't know about taking a selfie down the first base line. That perhaps is crossing the line for me, but a little bit of excitement, a little bit of fun. You never know when your last game is going to be, so I'm all for enjoying it. Especially now being on the outside looking in, enjoy it while you can, because it doesn't last long. But I think, unfortunately, an aspect of the game that perhaps has disappeared is being able to police ourselves. If there needs to be a fastball in the ribs back in the day, then there was a fastball in the ribs. And now it's like, you can't say anything. You can't, it's just, that was part of the game, and that's right or wrong. There's different opinions on that, but it's just the way that the game was when I played and how I grew up, and that has disappeared as well.
And even in that, like, it seems to me like people don't realize that while there might be some rivalry throughout your career with a guy, you had to put a fastball in his ribs or whatever. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of cases where that's happened, where you wind up on the same team with a guy through free agency or trade or whatever, and then it's over. It was in that moment, and that was it. Like, that was it, because that's the law of baseball, so to speak.
Yeah, and an old school guy that I see as an old school type player is Nolan Arenado. So I think it was perhaps 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't know, there was something going back and forth. Maybe it was the Reds they were playing, and he got drilled. But the thing is, he knew why he got drilled. He probably knew it was coming. He didn't charge the mound. He just put his bat down and ran down to first base. And I think the guys that know the game well enough, and they know almost why they're going to get hit, and when they're going to get hit, and they probably know they deserve it, or somebody on their team deserves it. They just happen to be if there's 2 outs and nobody on base, well, whoever's the 3-hole that inning is probably going to get drilled. That's just because you're not going to do it with 2 guys on base or the bases loaded. And sadly there's a craft, there's an art to it, there's a way to do it, but I think there's a way for it to be done. And like a good instance was Nolan the other day. He knew it was coming. It was kind of going back and forth, and I think that kind of ended it. Honestly, there's a way to police ourselves, and whether the umpires have taken it upon themselves or MLB has told the umpires to put a stop to all that stuff. I don't know. It just causes almost more confusion. I think back in the day, you could just hit somebody, they hit you back, and it's done. There's no brawl. There's no, post-game interviews. It is what it is.
Jason, MLB has tinkered with their rules over the last couple of years, trying to speed up the game, trying to garner, younger interest, do all those things. Obviously the 7-inning doubleheaders, runner starting on second in extra innings. What have you made of some of the tweaks they've tried to make? Are there some you like, some you don't? Where do you kind of sit with that?
Yeah, I think, honestly, I don't mind the 7-inning doubleheaders. Actually, we have a group of big league guys that hit at my facility up here in Frisco in the off season, and I've kind of talked with them about some of this new stuff, and they don't mind it at all. Losing a game just like a 9-year-old would in extra innings with a guy on second base, it's California tiebreaker or whatever. I don't know about that with the best players in the world. I kind of just, maybe if you get to the 12th inning, all right, then you institute that, or the third, at least give them a couple innings extra to play it out. Play it out normal, and then, nobody wants to play an 18-inning game. I've been part of a 22-inning game, 18-inning game. It's ridiculous. So at some point, maybe change it up to get the game over somehow, some way. But the doubleheaders, I think that's a nice little change. Perhaps it gives the guys another extra off day to rest their bodies and travel. And so, I don't mind that one at all. But the extra innings rule is kind of squirrely to me.
Yeah, because we had Arthur Rhodes on yesterday, and he said the first thing you probably do is walk the next hitter to force a run. I mean, force to set up a force out. And he's like, that's like almost you're giving up, but that's the best thing to do, right?
Absolutely. And if you get 2-0 on the next guy and he's a bomber, I mean, you almost put him on base, loads bases. Now you got to force it every out, or at every base. So, that's a good point by Arthur. I'm sure he has some good opinions on this stuff too. He's about 3 times as old school as I am, and I know he'd drill somebody in the ribs if he needs to.
Oh yeah, he said as much. Pretty much. Yeah.
I'm not sure. Say he just mentioned. He didn't just mention the ribs either. By the way.
Oh, okay. A little bit higher.
Yeah.
He said it first. He would buzz the tower for sure.
Yeah,
I mean.
Yeah,
he wouldn't hit the tower, but he'd buzz it. He was gonna buzz it.
Yeah,
that's
my kind of guy.
When was the last time you threw a no hitter? And I probably should know this. When was the last time you threw one?
A no hitter?
Yep.
Gosh, I don't know. It probably was little. I mean, I know I didn't have one in pro ball. I know I didn't have one in college. Crap, I don't even know if I had one in high school. I may have in high school, but I just never. I could pitch. I mean, I feel like I could pitch, but I never had Jacob DeGrom stuff.
Right.
I mean, Ohtani type stuff where you're just like, it's just stupid. Like nobody can make contact. That was never me. I mean, I had some swing and miss. I had a swing and miss slider that I used a lot, obviously, but I don't know that I really had the stuff. I had a couple no hitters. I took one pretty deep in a game in San Fran. I took one deep in Pittsburgh one day, like into the 7th inning. But I know Barry Bonds broke up one of them, and then I don't remember how it got broken up in Pittsburgh. But so I mean, I had a couple chances, but man, that's hard to do. It's hard to take it, hard to cross the finish line.
It's crazy how they're throwing them out. But again, it's feast or famine, as we mentioned off the top of the show.
Hey, Jason.
I mean, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Jacob DeGrom, you mentioned him. He comes back after being out for injury, K's 9 in his return. I mean, you kind of commented there, but, I mean, just how ridiculous is this guy? And as a former pitcher, when you're watching him, what are you watching? What are you seeing?
I mean, he's kind of one of the rare guys that can throw 100 and pitch. I mean, he works zones, he moves the ball in and out, he changes speeds. I mean, granted, his changeup is probably 92, but it's all relative. That is a changeup to him, and but he just what I see is he repeats his delivery. I mean, his mechanics are clean. He's very consistent. He rarely misses, badly. So some of these guys you see throw 100, you're like, you don't know if it's going to be on the black or if it's going to hit you in the face. So he's not that type pitcher. I mean, and same with Ohtani. I mean, just real clean delivery, not max effort. That shows me that they really have a good grasp of what they're doing out there.
Jason, Baylor was beaten today by Texas Tech. They play Kansas State because TCU just beat Kansas State. They're on the bubble, no question. They need a win pretty badly. Your thoughts about where they are? I know that they struggled down the stretch, but they have to. I would think even a win against Kansas State may not be enough. Your thoughts about where Baylor is?
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I mean, that's it's a bloodbath every weekend. It seems like Big 12. Even your lower end teams in the conference, they're still good baseball teams, and they still can beat you. And so, I mean, they've had a respectable season, no doubt. But it's with so many good teams in Big 12, so many good teams, in your SEC conference, you got to be a little bit better than good to get in that tournament. So, I'd love to see them obviously scratch out a win. Probably, like you said, 2, make a good showing in the tournament. And once you get a seat at the table, once you get into a regional, I mean, crap, anything can happen. You just got to get hot at the right time, but we just got to get them there.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you being patient. And, man, it's great to listen to you, to talk about and discuss what baseball's like today and all the things you went through as well. Appreciate your time. Good luck with that team you're coaching and all the young men that are kind of you're teaching how to pitch the way it was at some point in life. Thanks for your time.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Jason Jennings, Baylor All-American. He could both pitch and hit. My goodness, he was fantastic, and also pitched in the major leagues for quite some time, including the Astros and the Rangers.
Jacob DeGrom's freaking ridiculous. Yeah. Like, he's unbelievable, and Ohtani is too. I mean, Ohtani being the dual threat that he is incredible. I mean, both of them are. I mean, if you don't even like baseball, I'd still tune in and encourage people who don't even like baseball to still watch a Jacob DeGrom start. Watch Shohei Ohtani. Watch a start of his, or watch him at the plate. Special players for sure. And there's a lot of other good ones in baseball right now, but those are 2 that absolutely immediately come to mind.
By the way, I want to thank our newest sponsor is the City of Woodway. We appreciate them as being a part of SicEm365 Radio. We'll jump on with them at the first part of June, which, of course, hard to believe, but it is early next week. When we come back, John Machota with TheAthletic.com. The Cowboys have wrapped up their OTAs. And then also today, we'll continue all the way until 6 o'clock. And if you missed Mark Vidal in studio, it's up on all the various medium outlets, whatever we put up for you to watch it. He was in studio, and yet again, he was fantastic. This is SicEm365 Radio. Ideal